Angie. Okay. So today's video is going to be about me and my story, and I guess kind of like in depth more, just so you guys can get to know me, because you don't know me at all. I'm just starting my YouTube channel, so I wanted to share a little bit about me, and it's at the beginning of my channel. I don't have very many videos, so I felt like it was the perfect time to do this video so you guys can get to know me a little bit better. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So as most of you probably already know by now, I'm a teen mom and my name is Angie. I guess just for starters, I was pregnant at 14. So it was my 8th grade year, I believe. It may have been 9th grade. I'm pretty sure it was 8th grade though. And I got pregnant. So when I got pregnant at 14, I was still in middle school, so nobody was pregnant at that time. No, like, I don't think anybody in my grade was doing it, or like, some kids probably didn't even know what it was. Like nobody else was pregnant. It was like just me. I didn't even like know of anybody else my age getting pregnant. Sorry, I had to put my hair up. Anyways, so obviously I didn't know of anybody that was getting pregnant and didn't know of anybody that got pregnant at 14, so obviously that was already hard enough as it is. That was very, 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 very like, I can't even stress enough how difficult that was, being the only person I knew that was a teen mom. Like, that was already difficult as it is, and then to add on to it, the dad was not informed. So I was pregnant for a couple weeks, and then I had a miscarriage, and I was a kid, guys. Like, I was an 8th grader. So obviously the miscarriage and the pregnancy was hard enough as it is, being as young as I was. But to add on to that, I didn't even like know about miscarriages. I wasn't educated in it at all. I didn't really know anything, and I was 14, so I was still taking a long time to get used to the fact that I was even pregnant. I was in complete denial, like, no, like, that can't be right, and just kind of in denial. And I didn't tell any of my friends, so I really didn't have any friends there for me, so that was really hard. And the dad not being involved and me being in denial, it was just all a lot and too much for me to handle. But eventually that passed, and I came to terms with what happened, and I moved on. Like, that's just what I had to do. I moved on with my life, and that was kind of it until I got pregnant at 15. So when I got pregnant at 15, this was like a completely different scenario. This was a whole new thing. I was a year older, so I guess not much older, but I was still a little bit older. And this time around, I got pregnant with my boyfriend, and so I was actually in a relationship. I was a little more educated on things since I had been pregnant before, so I kind of learned about pregnancy, and I was a little bit more educated. I was actually on birth control too, the depot shot, when I got pregnant, so surprise there. Obviously it was an accident. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was puking about like 5 to 7 times a day. I was puking all of the time. And so I finally decided to take a pregnancy test, and I immediately told my husband Jordan, which at the time was a guy I had been dating for just a few months. He wasn't my husband at the time, my fiance at the time. He was just a boyfriend I had for a couple months. And so he was the first person I told, obviously. Honestly, there's not much to say about when I found out I was pregnant. It was nothing that I hadn't been through before. It was still crazy, crazy scary because I was still super young, but it wasn't anything that I didn't know already. Like, I had been through that before, which it wasn't the same in either of the scenarios. They were both very different, but I had still been through it, so it wasn't as much of a shock as the first time was. But then I guess the fear of being by myself came, the fear of my husband leaving and it just being me by myself raising a baby. I didn't know how to raise a baby, obviously. So that fear came upon me of him leaving, and it took me a long, 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 long time to finally admit to myself, like, okay, he's not going anywhere. It's okay. Like, you're safe. Like, he's not just going to run out on you. And then a few months into my pregnancy, he proposed and we got engaged. And then 2 weeks after my daughter was born, we got married. So sometime after my daughter was born, I kind of got into learning about why I had a miscarriage and what a miscarriage like really was, and I eventually like came to the conclusion and the terms to myself that like I lost a baby. Like, that's insane. And so I finally got to grieve my first baby when I had Nevaeh. When I had my daughter, I finally got to grieve my first baby because I kind of got the concept of like that was a baby inside of me, which most people probably would have got that in the beginning, but I was just so young that I didn't really understand it all. So I finally got that, and I was finally able to grieve. So that was pregnant at 14, pregnant at 15. And then came becoming a mom. It was crazy. That's like the words I can put it in. It was absolutely crazy. For anybody, just becoming a mom is just like a huge thing. It's absolutely life-changing. It's crazy. It's insane. It's beautiful. And that was just a life-changing moment, obviously, because I was becoming a mom. So I think that happens to everybody. But then came the teen mom. And that's where it started to get hard. That's where everything started to get a lot harder because I can't think of a friend that was there for me through my pregnancy, through my birth, through having her, through raising her. I can't think of one friend that stuck by me through all of that. All of them left and I didn't have any friends, and it was me. And I am a very social person. I love to be around people. I love to have friends. And I didn't have that. So that was a huge change. I was a freshman in high school. And here comes a baby. And I'm still in high school. And that was crazy hard because not a lot of people understand that going to school and having a baby, both two things are hard enough on their own, but when you combine them, it just makes it so difficult. And it's obviously worth it, but it was very, very difficult. And so unless you've been through that, you don't really understand how hard that is and how hard it is not being able to go to school, because I had to switch to online school and I had to choose, am I going to go to public school and have a babysitter raise my kid or family raise my kid, or am I gonna switch online and just be with my kid all the time and not have a social life? So I had to choose that, but I chose to raise my kid and I chose to stay home and not have a social life, and it was the best decision I ever made by far. But that doesn't mean that online school with a toddler is any less hard. high school with a toddler is not easy. School with a baby is not easy. Being a teen mom in general is not easy. Being a mom in general is not easy. And so I obviously was going through a lot of postpartum depression, having to deal with all of this at once. And then the criticism came. The people that were like, wow, you're not a good mom, or you should have gave her up for adoption, or she would have had a better life. I had a person that I hadn't seen or heard from in like 2-3 years message me and say, I think you should really consider adoption or abortion because you are going to ruin your life with a baby. And I still have that message because that was such an impactful message of the first time like people were judging me and I was getting hate for simply having a baby. And that to me was so crazy that somebody could say that to me. Yeah. The hate was the worst part of it all. Getting to give birth to my baby, getting to raise my baby, getting to carry my baby in my stomach was the best thing that happened to me, and I would never change it for the world. But the hate that comes along with it is absolutely horrible, and it sucks, and nobody really understands it until they're in it. And it's hard. And if you are a teen mom, or you're a mom that got hate too, I seriously give you all the credit in the world, because it's such a hard thing to go through because everybody's telling you you can do it and you're still doing it. And I'm proud of you. I am so proud of you because it is not an easy thing to do. So go you. But that's kind of my story. I'm 17 now and I have a 1.5-year-old, almost 2-year-old little girl. And life is good. But yeah, I guess that's the end of this video. That's kind of my little short story. If you guys have any questions, comment them and I'll do a Q&A at some point on my channel, and I would love to hear from you guys. And if you're a teen mom, you rock. And yeah.